Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of the Educational AD Podcast. We will be right back with this week's guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, these are all companies I used as an athletic director. I really recommend that you check them out. So take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our interview, then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to thank our good friends at Huddle for their support. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school, and our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our student athletes loved the videos, and our parents loved the streaming, but there's so much more. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to thank our friends at Gipper. You know, your students are on social media, and if they're not seeing content that celebrates their accomplishments and promotes your program, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to Gipper.com. Their team will have you creating social media posts to celebrate a big victory. They even have a newsletter template that you just have to see to believe all the great things it can do. You'll find it all at Gipper.com. That's it, Gipper.com. We also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their score boards in action. You've heard me say before, probably the best purchase I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Check out all their great products today. We want to thank our friends at Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant athletic director, along with thousands of others, got his master's from Ohio University and was a great experience. It's very affordable, just 20 months, totally online. And you not only earn your master's degree, you also complete 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Go to ohio.edu/info/MAA for more information. We'd like to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the different events, or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touch screen video consoles. They're also a great way to showcase your school's unique history and brag a little bit about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. We'd like to say thank you to Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform you will use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results. Their student athlete eligibility and clearance platform alone is worth the price. Go to homecampus.com for more information. Don't forget to mention the podcast. That's homecampus.com. We'd like to thank our good friends at Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school with great success. Our coaches loved it. Our parents loved it. And you're going to love it too. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. It's snapraise.com. We also want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing. Go to hometownticketing.com. They have the very best platform for digital ticketing and more. Whether it's more support or more security, even more customization, the Hometown team is going to help you make the best online ticketing solution. Go to hometownticketing.com. It's digital ticketing that offers more. And we want to thank our good friends at Athletic Surveys. You know, athletic directors already get feedback, but a lot of times it's from a small group that only wants to complain. Athletic Surveys will connect you to that group so you can hear their concerns and hopefully address them. But they're also going to connect you to the 98% of your stakeholders that support your program. And having that feedback, that data is incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Happy New Year to the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to stay right here in Florida. And regular listeners know that we will frequently have on aspiring athletic directors, aspiring coaches that are still completing their undergraduate studies. And that's what we've got for you today. We're going to be visiting with James Howard. James is a student at Pensacola Christian College. Obviously, that's in Pensacola, Florida. James and I connected, let's say maybe a couple of months ago. I was part of a speakers panel at the University of West Florida. And he was one of the audience attendees. We got talking a little bit afterwards, and I invited him to come on the podcast. So, James Howard, welcome to the Educational AD Podcast.
Good to be here.
Well, you and I were talking before. It's a busy time for our listeners. We're recording this on December 31st. So it's going to be 2025 by the time you listen to it. James, we always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us that quick bio, where you were born, where you grew up. Maybe take us up through your high school experience, and then we'll take a break. But what's the James Howard origin story?
Yeah, so I was born in the great boring state of Indiana. I love it there. That's where am right now for Christmas break. Indiana, and then I was born in Fort Wayne, but I live in Marion, Indiana. But then I did homeschool I did a Becca program that Pensacola Christian College actually they're linked with Abeka because that was the where it came from. I did Abeka homeschool and that was really good up until third, fourth grade. And then fourth grade, I went to a church and joined their private school and everything. We had like 40 kids and everything. So definitely not, big. We didn't have basketball tryouts or anything like that. But yeah, I did that for 6 years and then COVID hit. So then I switched back to Abeka homeschool and finished up the last 2 years of that. And then I go to PCC now. So
Well, most of my career was as a coach and athletic director at some smaller private, faith-based schools here in Florida. They weren't quite that small. Um, Looking back at that growing up, what was the neighborhood like? Was it a big backyard? Were there, football games with the neighborhood kids? Did you have a hoop in your driveway? What were some of your earlier sports experiences?
yeah, so definitely the basketball goal later on when I started playing basketball. I didn't actually know anything about like sports stuff until I went to the private school for the first time and got interaction with more because I was an only child. I am an only child, and it was just I didn't have a lot of people in the neighborhood that I hung out with and everything. So very, very sheltered, I guess. Um, and I have a huge backyard. I did a lot of active stuff outside and everything, like imaginative stuff and everything since I was just by myself. But yeah, when I started going to the school and everything, I got more into basketball and everything. I started off shooting granny shots and everything, and it was just looking back on it, the development that I went through, and then where I am now is just amazing and everything, and I'm grateful for it. But it's always humbling to look at where I started and attributing that with everyone, like especially as a future coach. So but yeah, not a lot of people around here still. I'm at the place I grew up. So still got the basketball goal and everything. It's a little wet outside, so I'm cool outside, so I don't really want to be active outside right now. But yeah, it was really sometimes boring growing up, but it was humbling. It was definitely, I guess, it's a word. Um, I don't know, I forgot the word. Uh, Development or whatever like that. But yeah, it was great. It was great. I think the private school really did a lot for me, just to work my way up from where I was. So
Oh no, absolutely. We're going to hear more about your experience, at Pensacola Christian, but, um, you're currently, you're on that secondary education track. You want to be a coach. You want to stay involved in sports. A lot of our guests, they'll talk about a coach or a teacher that was inspiring. Sometimes they talk about a coach that was not inspiring, and that kind of inspired
Yeah.
them to go in a different direction. But is there anybody from those days in Indiana growing up that maybe you didn't realize it at the time, but now looking back, you can say, "Hey, that was a big person in my life."
Um, I know my coach was also the pastor, so that's always interesting. And I think looking back, there's a lot that I learned about, I guess, developing my own personal character and not necessarily like the ins and outs of basketball and everything. But I definitely think that having someone that also outside of coaching is very involved in working with people, I guess it really helps with everything else development. Even if he doesn't really know like all about basketball, it could give you like a whole hour long um, dive into the strategies and different plays and all that stuff, drills. But I think he had a decent impact in my life in specific areas. But then there's also some things that I'm like, yeah, I think I won't do that. I think I won't do that. I think I'll keep this and everything, and not even just for basketball, but he had a good impact on my life and everything, and especially growing up as a you know not having a dad involved in my life, it was very important for me to um, find those father figures and people I could look up to. So.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely, and that's in true, coach, athletic director, toolbox fashion. Find the things that work for you, hang on to them, put them in your toolbox, and the things that don't work or you don't think are a good fit, I don't think I'm going to use that. Very cool stuff.
Mhm.
Let's go and take our first break. Our guest today is James Howard. He's a undergraduate student, an aspiring coach, maybe even an aspiring athletic director one day, right here in Florida. Let's take that break, but we're coming back. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Huddle for their support of the podcast. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, all of our coaches, just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our student athletes loved the videos. Our parents loved the streaming, but there is so much more. Go to huddle.com. Join the 8 million users. Find out how to turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to our friends at Gipper. Your students are on social media, and if you're not posting content to celebrate their accomplishments and promote your program, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to Gipper.com. It's used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college programs. It's professional graphic design made easy. Maybe it's a social media post celebrating a win. Maybe it's their um, newsletter platform that allows you to share all the great things that your program's doing. You'll find it all at Gipper.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast. That's Gipper.com. Check them out today. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. Once again, our guest is James Howard. He's an aspiring coach, aspiring athletic director, and he's currently a student at Pensacola Christian College right here in Florida. James, you kind of painted the picture of growing up in Indiana. How did you end up in Florida? You mentioned that there was a connection with Pensacola Christian, but that's a big move, Indiana to the Panhandle.
Yeah, so colleges like to send out those little brochure things, I guess. And my uncle and aunt actually went to PCC. They met at PCC, and obviously they got married and stuff. So they also had like a little info about PCC and everything. And obviously, I was doing the curriculum for homeschool that they put out and everything. So. I think throughout my life, it was more just leading up to, going there. There wasn't a lot of different colleges I was thinking about, so it was set in stone for me. It was just more about finding what major I was going to do. So I actually started off with youth ministry because I knew from the beginning I wanted to influence the youth for Christ and everything. But I didn't really know exactly in what way I would do that. But I always knew I was wanted to be a coach. It was just what major I wanted to accomplish being able to be a coach.
Yeah, again, I love the family connection. So it wasn't like you were going to a place that, was completely, geez, what's going to be
Mhm.
like? You had some people that you could pick their brains about. Once you got on campus, I'm going to imagine there might have been a little bit of culture shock, Indiana
Yeah.
to the Panhandle, and other things. What were some of your first impressions once you got on campus and kind of settled in?
Yeah, it was especially, I'm more introverted, so coming off from COVID and all that, and then going to college, with everyone there, it was a lot of maturity and development I had to go through, still going through, to develop like the being able to talk like in front of people and all that sort of stuff. So getting there, it was a bit of a shock, but it was a good one because I needed to go through it and everything to develop myself for what I want to do. So I actually didn't have a roommate for like 3, 4 weeks, and you're supposed to have a roommate, but he dropped out like right before, so I was alone in my room, and that didn't make anything better in that scenario. But I got a roommate, it got all settled, and I am where I am now. And I'm very grateful for everything that I was put through and everything. So, it was a shock, but it was a good one.
Now, again, you're at kind of the beginning of your journey, even pre-career journey. You're still an undergrad. Um, in the coursework that you have been exposed to, and again, you and I met at I think it was an all-encompassing. There were some coaches that were
Mhm.
presenting from Florida State, some instructors, mental performance people. I was there from kind of the AD perspective. Um, what are some of the either projects or curriculum experiences that you've had so far that have maybe opened your eyes and said, "Hey, this is exactly where I want to be," or you're going, "Wow, I didn't know this was part of the deal." Any experiences you can share so far?
Yeah, so I recently just finished my course teaching PE, and that had a lot to do with, obviously just developing your plans, your teaching plans and curriculum, and obviously performing the lesson and everything. And I think that had um, a lot of great preparation in terms of how comfortable I need to be in that sort of area and really like dumbing down what I would like teach and everything. And I have a little bit of an issue with this, especially in coaching, because I like to get the grand scheme of things and really get all the details and everything. But a lot of the times, especially at high school and junior high and junior varsity, they need to just go step by step in little bits and everything. So that really like opened my eyes to that specific fact. And I'm not like obviously perfect at it right even right now after I took it, but it really just opened my eyes to the fact of like stepping up to things and like forming that pyramid for the players individually too. So teaching PE really influenced my vision for coaching and everything, but especially teaching. So I'm very thankful for that class and all the coaching classes. Really, like first aid. Also, first aid was really good because obviously taking care of any like surprise scenarios that can happen at any point was really beneficial and everything. And but yeah, coaching classes, even coaching soccer. I don't really like soccer, but there's always something you can learn um, from different sports. And I think when I had that mentality, I think it was a lot better. So I'm more appreciative of soccer now. So
Yeah. Well, I can say from experience, again, this is 100 years ago. I went to high school and college in the decade of the 70s, and where I grew up in Oregon and Washington, soccer really wasn't a thing. And so I remember we played soccer, maybe a 3 week unit in our high school PE class. But as an undergrad, there was no soccer instruction. The college barely had a soccer program. So now
mhm.
it's one of those things that people are going to do. Have you had a chance to work with the different age groups, and have you found a niche yet? And if you have, it can always change too. High school, middle school, elementary. For me, I knew right away I wasn't wired to work with the lower level, the primary grades. I liked middle school and high school better. How about you?
Yeah, so I definitely think I wanted to coach varsity, but I'm open to, whatever they need me to do. But I'm actually interning at a school uh, called Indiana Christian Academy. It's like 40 minutes away from where I am right now. I'm interning there and everything, and there's their basketball team actually came down to PCC and won the tournament that they had for the high school there and everything, and that was interesting. So it's just I'm also going to be coaching my collegiate team, but the difference between um, peer teaching and even just 3 years below you is just it's very because they're already like, wow, this guy's from college, and even though I'm not like I'm just like, why is that a big deal? I'm like 3 years older than you. It doesn't really matter. It's still a big thing to them. So I think developing connections and relationships and everything, and obviously coaching first, um, is where I want to be with the varsity guys and stuff. And I think it's a lot easier to connect with them, but harder at the same time because they're older and more, I guess, stubborn, and they know more, especially that too. So it's more of a challenge, but I think it pays off a lot more if you really influence their lives and everything.
Oh no, absolutely. Hopefully, we're going to cover some of that area when we get into our toolbox segment. But let's go and take another quick break. Once again, our guest today is James Howard. He's currently an undergraduate student at Pensacola Christian College here in Florida, aspiring coach, teacher, and maybe even an aspiring AD down the road. Let's take that break, but we're coming back. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thank you to our good friends at Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their score boards in action. You've heard me say before, probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Check out their great products today. We also want to say thank you to Ohio University and their online master's degree in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's from Ohio, but my assistant athletic director did, along with thousands of others. And it was a great experience. It was very affordable, just 20 months, totally online. And while you're earning your master's degree, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. To get more information, just go to ohio.edu/info/MAA. Don't forget to mention the podcast, the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration. We also want to say thank you to our good friends at Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record board for all the teams, for all the different events, or to show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touch screen. That's right, touch screen video consoles. They're also a great way to showcase your school's unique history and brag a little bit about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check them out today. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. Uh, James, you mentioned to me that you're going to be coaching at PCC, and I think the experience that you described is one of those things that sometimes a lot of people that are trying to break into coaching or athletic directing don't take advantage of. They might say, well, geez, I don't want to do that. And I think what you're going to be doing, what you're doing now, is a tremendously valuable experience. So share with our listeners how you are going to be coaching at PCC this semester.
Yeah, so I'll be coaching my collegian and everything. I yet to join a collegian if you go to PCC. And it's like 70 people per collegian. And I was the athletic director for my collegian last semester, but I didn't want to run again with everything I'd be doing this semester and everything. And it's just some time commitment that, I could avoid, and I kind of need that extra time. But I wanted to take advantage of coaching the basketball that we have this semester. And last semester I played, but the coach there, he also played for the Eagles PCC team. So he wasn't really around that much, and we were very, very disorganized. And I didn't want that again this semester. So since I want to coach and everything, I was like, let's just start now, I guess. And I was given that opportunity because the new AD that won, I'm friends with him, and he didn't choose me because I was like his friend or anything, and I didn't want that either. I want to earn it, and I want to earn it still. But he chose me, and I'll take total advantage of it. But it's especially like I mentioned the teaching PE class, you have to teach your peers. And for this, it's also coaching your peers. Now, some of them are fresh out of high school, but it's a night and day difference between coaching guys that are freshmen and coaching guys that are like juniors, because they're obviously your same age, and they can you know not take the authority part of it that seriously. And a lot of it's just respect that they themselves have to give you, but it's also respect I have to earn. Um, but it's just a night and day difference. Even looking like forward into it, it'll be a lot more challenging to teach peers than it is to teach, even varsity seniors. But I wanted to take full advantage of it. And I think it'll be a good learning opportunity for me, especially as I, develop who I am as a coach and my philosophy as a coach, and, work that into practice as the 8 games that we play. I'll take advantage of each and every one of those. So,
Now, the game experience, and again, I just think this is a great experience for any aspiring coach. Is it informal? Is it just, the players out there, but are there, let's say real referees, maybe they're student referees and the scoreboard and everything? Is it a close to a game experience?
yeah, it's a full game experience. Sometimes the refs are a little bit like, well, I see why you're reffing collegiate like games and stuff. Uh, so it's a little annoying at times, but they're actual refs that they pay and everything. Uh, we play on the half court, so we play this way, not that way. So there can be 2 games at one time. But it's a real game experience. It's been fun playing for 2 years and everything, and it'll just be different. Obviously, being on the coaching end, and you can be a player coach, but it's my personal philosophy and everything that that's not really the best option to do. Like obviously, if there's not enough guys there because they don't have to show up. It's if they want to. If there's not enough guys, there's like 4 and everything, I can be like, all right, I'll go ahead and play. But if I can not play, I want to do that because I think being full investment in coaching and not just like being on the floor and trying to coach at the same time. I don't think that's a wise idea. So, no, full on coach. But yeah, it's a good experience. There's sometimes there's more fans for some collegiate games than there are for the actual Eagles games, and it just depends. Like if we play Bob Jones University, like it's packed. Like the Eagles stadium is like packed. But if it's just like a Tuesday or something that no one it's not really advertised that much, there can be like I don't know 100 people there. But for like a championship basketball game, like last year, there was like 200, and it can get really really into it and everything. So it's a good experience when it's full investing in it.
Oh no, absolutely. And you talk about the officials. I was a high school basketball official for many years. Boys and girls games, and those experiences, I can harken back to my own college days. I refereed intramural games at the college level. I was also my senior year. I was the director of intramural basketball, and probably wasn't a very good referee back then, and probably didn't do that great of a job as an administrator either. But it's those experiences that you get of working with people and being in, let's say, a little bit of a pressure situation. That's what helps you grow as a coach or as an official or
Hmm.
whatever. So good for you getting involved in those experiences. James, we're going to do this at the end of the podcast, but we also try to build connections and help people add to their network. So if one of our listeners, maybe another aspiring coach or an aspiring AD is listening to this and they want to reach out and connect with you, what's the best way that our listeners can get a hold of James Howard?
Yeah, so I mean I can just give my number because obviously I'm very good at messaging back and everything. And it's just so 765-667-2908. I have Instagram, but I'm not really like, trying to get people to like, hey, follow my Instagram. I need more followers or whatever. I don't really care about that. But if someone did want to do it that way, it's just I'm James Howard, I'm underscore James underscore Howard. And I like 500. I don't really care about it that much, but yeah, my number's most important and everything, and it's just those two right now. Obviously, I'll probably get more ways to you know connect with
Mhm.
people down the road. I'll have to, but just my number right now is the most
Okay. Well,
common one, the better one.
again, I appreciate you giving that out, and people will connect. People will reach out. I'm sure there's another platform that somebody old like me doesn't know about, but LinkedIn is still a pretty good platform for making connections as an aspiring teacher, an aspiring coach. Don't be shy about creating that LinkedIn profile. Let's go and take another quick break, but we've got a lot more coming with our guest, James Howard. So please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to Home Campus for their support of the podcast. Home Campus is a platform that you're going to use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results. Their student athlete eligibility and clearance platform alone is worth the price. Go to homecampus.com to find out how to get started. Homecampus.com. That's it. Make sure you mention the podcast. We also want to thank our friends at Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and then been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school with tremendous success. Our coaches loved it, our parents loved it because it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. It's snapraise.com. We'd also like to thank Hometown Ticketing. Hometown Ticketing is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. And whether it's more support, more security, or more customization, the team at Hometown is going to help you make the best online ticketing solution. Go to hometownticketing.com to get started. It's digital ticketing that offers more. And we want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack, who sponsor the Athletic Director Toolbox segment. Athletic directors and coaches already get feedback, but a lot of times it's from a very small group that just wants to complain. Athletic Surveys is going to connect you to that group, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% of your stakeholders that support your program. And having that data is incredibly valuable, especially when you're talking to a frustrated parent or a frustrated student athlete, or maybe your principal or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Check them out today. Well, it's that time of the podcast. We've been visiting today with James Howard. He's currently a student at Pensacola Christian College, an aspiring coach, maybe even an aspiring AD one day. Um, has a great background, a great perspective so far early in his career in athletics. But right now, I'm going to challenge him to send out a brand new coach or a brand new AD, something he's going to be in just a few years. But I'm only going to let him put 3 items in the toolbox. So, James Howard, I'm very curious. What 3 things are going to go into your new coach, new athletic director toolbox?
All right, so I took the liberty of preparing for that, and just the three I have right now. This one really just affects the total leadership position, and I think in any, if you're a leader, if you're a teacher, if you're a coach, AD, anything really, you just need to truly grasp the position that you're in and have respect for that. Because if you don't really have respect for the position you're in or even yourself, it's really hard to respect other people, or maybe even impossible to really effectively respect others and care about others and whatnot. So I think truly grasping the position that you're in is really important for, especially for starting out and for developing. Obviously, when you are like 20 years into the position and everything, respecting, continuing to respect if you're your coach, even for a small school. 20 years down the road, you might lose sight of like the grasp, like the total benefit and position that you're in. If you get discouraged, if you like lose, like have losing seasons for 10 years in a row, if you don't have a lot of you know um, I guess encouragement and everything, it's really hard to continue to enjoy what you're doing because you want to be successful. So I think, respecting your position that you're in and knowing why you're doing it really helps as a leader in general. And then my second one is just investment in people and not just the sport. It's a little basic, but for me, yeah, I really care about the people and might not like show it all the time or encourage, like have to work on the encouragement part of it and everything. Because as an introverted person myself, it's a little hard to just give people what they want all the time. And it's not all about giving what people what they want. But especially for high school kids and everything, they can get discouraged a lot faster. I know I did. And having that, voice of encouragement, of persistence and consistency and everything, it was really, really important. And especially even the parents, like if the coach just doesn't really care about, yeah, if he communicates and stuff, but he doesn't really care about the parents' insight and like even just things that that they say after the game, like why isn't my kid playing enough and everything. If he just brushes them off every time, doesn't try to work with them, maybe that doesn't mean giving their kid more minutes or whatever, but trying to explain to them like the true gravity of the situation. And I think a lot of coaches deal with this, especially high school, even college. But um, I think the tendency is to just be like, why are they questioning me? Like, like obviously I'm the coach, they should know that. But as a parent and my kid didn't play, I know I it's a little different for me because I have the you know mindset of trying to understand why, and I'll get to that later. But I think for other parents that just put their kid in sports and want to see him play, want to see him like be the star and everything, even if he's not, even if he doesn't even know what he's doing on the court. I think being able to work with parents in that situation is really beneficial. Explaining to them why and everything, and even what they could do. Like, if you want your kid to get better, why don't you take initiative and try to help them practice? Why don't you know, help him in different areas that require someone to actually help him practice outside of practice. So I think being able to invest in the parents as well is something, and it's going to take a lot of work. Even if I know that I want to do it, it's going to take a lot of work and self-control sometimes too, because some parents can obviously be a hassle and everything. But yeah, that's my second one. Especially investing in the kids that are in the sport, outside of coaching and everything. And obviously, you're um, not supposed to overstep the parents and everything and respect that. But if they have um, questions and stuff like stuff that if they look up to you, I don't want to just like blow them off when practice is over. I want to actually invest in them and make a relationship that will last like after the 4 years that I could coach them during varsity, or um, the how many years that I'd have them or see them and like teach them in school and everything, and stuff like that. So I think investing is really important outside of sports and everything, because it's people, you're investing in people, not just the sport. Um, and then my third one is mostly for coaches. Um, it's something that I recently developed in my philosophy of um, it's a lot to try to do, but I want to teach the why along with the how for sports and for basketball and everything. If I'm just my coach did this because he wasn't really, mainly basketball or trying to develop coach when he was going to college, but um, because he was a pastor, and I didn't expect that of him anyway. But it was just a lot of, all right, we're doing this, we're going to be in a 2-3, we're going to be, doing drills and everything. And looking back on it, I understand why he was doing the drills, but when I was in that scenario, it was just a lot of just, all right, we're gonna do this. So this is how we're gonna do this, how we're gonna set up our offense, how and I think a lot of player development, which is one of my biggest things. I like really developing players to be better than what they could be um, as it goes along. And I'm even doing that with freshmen before our season starts. And I've really enjoyed doing that, like investing time into them, showing them, hey, like I think you could change this about your shot. Like here's like your foot placement. Here's what you could do. Like you should be this type of player, because obviously I'm not trying to make them a different player than what they are, just making them more of who they could be. And I think seeing that in others is something that I've developed really well, and I can see potential. But it's just for them to unlock it. But I can be the nudge in that, and I really enjoyed that. But um, I think especially when I start practices and stuff, teaching why we're doing it instead of just we're doing this, where I'm teaching you how we're going to do it, is really, really important, because if they can be on the floor and knowing why they're doing that, they can change stuff as it goes along, because they know, okay, well, we're in this position. There's like two guys that are on a fast break. There's only two guys. I'm not just gonna like slowly dribble it up the floor. I'm gonna push the offense. I'm gonna do that. If they can, each and every one of them know how to do that, which is developing their own philosophy, developing their own IQ about the sport. Um, I think teaching why is very beneficial to that because they know more about the game. They know more about situations that they're put in. They know what to do in those situations. So I think developing IQ in coaching is sometimes overlooked a lot, and it's just because it's really really hard for junior high and junior varsity, I imagine, because they're still developing in their brain. I'm still developing and everything mentally and stuff. But I think it's still beneficial because I mean your long-term memory is unlimited. So why not just show them the ins and outs of the game, and but also show them why they're doing it. So I think that's one of my biggest things as a coach that I wanted to change about different coaches I've seen is just developing IQ and player development in general.
Well, I love them all, and it's just great to hear that from somebody who's still, finishing up their undergrad training, just some upper level stuff, investing in people and, understanding respect. I love that word, respect the position that you're in. And you talked about it. Why, what's your why has been a big deal the last few years. I don't know if it was a John Gordon thing or something. And it is important. You have to know the why, but you also alluded to it. Don't forget the what. Okay, it's great to have this philosophy and it's great to have all these foundational beliefs that what are you going to do with it? So good to hear that you're looking at both of those. James, once again, thanks so much for spending time with us on the podcast today. All the best moving forward with your career. I hope we can stay in touch. I know quite a few ADs in Indiana, also a bunch here in Florida, obviously. So if you need a connection, let me know. One more time, speaking of connections, if one of our listeners wants to reach out and start following you or add you to their network, what's the best way that our listeners can get a hold of James Howard?
Yeah, so just my phone number. I'll work on a LinkedIn eventually, and everything. But my phone number is just 765-667-2908. So I'd love to get different perspectives and everything, and maybe even a little bit down the road or even now, just help someone work through something. So, I think that'll
And
be beneficial for me as well.
don't forget that Instagram account. What was that?
That's I'm underscore James underscore Howard. So if someone wants to reach out to me there, I'm very good at messaging back and everything and keeping up to date on everything. So I take pride in that. So uh,
Well, James, thanks again. All the best. And, we're already into the Happy New Year, but it's December 31st right now. So I'm going to say Happy New Year to you and all your family.
Happy New Year.
For listeners, we want to say Happy New Year to you and just remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every day. We try to share stories and best practices. So come back and join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. Happy New Year.